welcome and thank you for watching the video. Before we get into it, please make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you have something nice to say, please leave a comment. Now let's get into it. And we're live. Mark Hunt, thank you for taking the time today, sir. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
So I was just curious as we get into it to go into a more chronological sense, and see how, for listeners that don't know your story, to kind of take us back into the early days of what a young Mark Hunt was like as a young kid growing up in this world, and if there was how that then played into you becoming getting into the world of combat sports.
I started in out with the boys, a lot of trouble. Got into a fight outside a club called DTM's, and that's how I basically, the bouncer became my first coach. And 4 days later, I was actually in that same nightclub punching on in a Muay Thai fight. So I was 16 or 18 years old, I think, and that's how I had my first Muay Thai fight. And that's why I started fighting. So yeah, if you don't know that about me, that's how I started Muay Thai fighting. Was turned into kickboxing in the K1, and then 2003, I thought more or less moved into the world of MMA.
And for you, as a kid growing up, what did you expect or hope that your life would become? Did you have a dream job when you were young, 8-10-year-old?
Well, not really. No, to be honest, I didn't really have any dreams or aspirations. I was pretty much just I was homeless at 8 years old. I was in the tree. I was running away from my dad, and I was I slept in the fucking school tree to start the night with, and 2 weeks later they caught me at hiding out somewhere else. So I had no dreams of becoming doing anything. I just dreamt about things getting better. Dreamt about having something to eat these days. That's the way where Mark Hunt grew up, especially with fighting. That's why I think I'm pretty good at it. So at the end of the day, I was just surviving a shitty childhood, to be honest. And that's where that went. So I had no dreams of aspirations or goals. I was just trying to survive childhood life.
And for you, will you talk about what it was like to, when you talk about being virtually homeless, what that was like, and then what, ultimately that's done?
To be honest, 8 years, I don't know. I was at home. I was Form 2, I think it was, in New Zealand, and I dropped the dish when I was washing the dishes, and my dad. I just got the back end of it's called a hose that they use for the laundry machines, and the laundry machines back in the days were like they spun around like this, and then there's a hose that connected from the water pipe to the hose that put water in it. So he whacked me with that, the freaking piece of shit. And because it was, I think it nearly split my ear. It just blew up, and I run for it. So I jumped out the fucking laundry window, and I was out in the street. So I run and I just keep running. So my first night was kind of weird, hiding in the trees in the school, and the tree was kind of weird tree because the tree was like a flat tree, and you could climb into it under it and sit in the middle of it. And it was sort of for an 8-year-old, it's kind of hard to try and look around. I mean, I went and clotheslined some clothes to get some warmth, clotheslined some towels from the apartments next door. But the funny thing was, they were wet, and they were still. So that was my first night. Then the next 2 weeks I was in schools, after schools, and hiding around. At that age. So yeah.
And where did your parents like go looking for you? What was that?
Well, they called me like a couple of weeks later. I was at a guy's place. A friend of mine, his name is Freddie Baker. So I think his parents told my parents, and of course my parents would have been looking for me here. But I was standing in there, and probably wearing Freddie's clothes, and and they came in and grabbed me. Or my mum did, and that was my running away from home, and that's the homelessness started. So I just got back home, and then so yeah.
And how did the coming home part take place? How did you go back home eventually?
Well, I was just grabbed and taken back home and stayed at home from then on. It was like I said, an 8-year-old doesn't think of things different. Doesn't think like that at that age. So growing up, I wasn't thinking about dreams and ambitions. I was thinking about other things, surviving this fucking shithole place I was living in.
And I've heard a bunch of interviews of you in the past couple of days when I've been researching, and you talk a lot about this, your father and the relationship that you guys had. And how do you think that that affected you as a fighter? Was that a source of motivation at all? Was there, did it make you an angry child because of the abuse that you saw? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was. There was no relationship between my father and my siblings and my parents. It was my father was just a dirtbag, to be honest, and he didn't even drink or do drugs. He was
Wow.
just a dirtbag. So, and he was good at warfare, mental warfare, and fucking beating the shit out of us, to be honest. So, yeah, there was no relationship. It was just we were shit scared, and that's basically it. So. And how he mentally tormented us was, we'd start with like half an hour on our knees. He said, "Get on your knees," and one time he had actually gone, because we had a pear tree outside the house. He'd gone cut the pear tree while we were watching him, and we're like, "Oh shit!" We were fucking shit scared because he's gonna fucking use those branches on us. He's such a fucking freshie, the dumb cunt.
So, do you think that like when you were fighting, did you use that as a source of inspiration or a source of motivation or a source of hate?
Well, yeah, of course. I used it as coming from a background with not much. You had to fight for a lot, for everything, to be honest. And my dad was pretty ruthless, especially with we all copped a lot of beatings, to be honest. And the thing was, fighting's a lot to do with affliction, and affliction is a lot of pain. So we copped a lot of that growing up and surviving a lot of that, to be honest. And I grew a high threshold for pain tolerance, to be honest.
Do you
And
think
that's
if
why
do you think if you
yep.
didn't face this abuse from your father, you would have gone into fighting still?
I don't think so. I don't think I would have been a fighter. I would probably, like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do as growing up. All I was just trying to do was survive a shitty childhood and deal with the cars that the Almighty has given me. He gave me these shitty cars. Like, fuck, what is this? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? Well, we all dealt with it the way we dealt with it. My brother above me killed himself, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. The other brother above him is schizophrenic. He's been like that for like 30-something years. And my older sister, who got the most punishment out of all of us, she's doing all right now. She's still doing okay. She's surviving, just like me. So, we're survivors.
And do you have any advice, because now that you're this big celebrity, you have a platform that to talk and people listen to you. Do you for the kids that are out there that are facing similar abuses or don't know who to talk to or what to really think, do you have any looking back on it pieces of advice that could help other kids that are in similar abusive situations?
Yeah, of course. I'm not a celebrity or anything like that. I don't consider myself like that. I just someone that's changed my life and the cycle of abuse and everything, and gone the positive route, the better way. I mean, despite the harsh cards I was given, and I always got to say, there's always someone else worse than you. And I know a few people that had a worse scenario. I count my blessings to be here and still fighting and be alive. To be honest, I treat my kids fairly and differently. I want to give them, I want them to be kids as long as they can be kids. For those that are in this sort of garbage, you don't deserve to be treated badly. It's not your fault that you've been treated badly because of, probably my parents didn't get taught a different way. Probably they didn't understand. They probably got abused the same thing. So it's a bad cycle. You can use this to change your life. You can use this to help yourself, to better yourself. And despite all the people, the naysayers, all the kids that made fun of you going to school, and said you're a shit because you're shit, your clothes are crap or whatever the fuck it is. You can always put positive things in your mind, like I did. Positive thoughts. Like, no, that person's, my clothes might be shit, but so what? That's just the way things are. It might look like shit, but who cares? That's not going to be forever. You always put positive things in your life to change it when people are making fun of you and saying shit like this, because kids can be really cruel. I got to a certain point in my age where I got really aggressive with everyone. That's how I fixed them up. That was my equalizer at the end of the day, which is wrong. It landed me in jail twice. But like I said, even now I'm dealing with these issues. You have to reach out to people that can help you. You know, I go to a counselor that I met that's really, really, really positive. And all my issues I do have in my relationship now, because I'm just breaking up with my wife, is from my childhood. So, you know, I'm just trying to deal with them more now. It's hard to feel, you know, especially at 46 years of age, you don't realize you have issues until you're actually sitting there, someone's telling you got issues. Like, you think that's normal. You think thinking about, you know, an instant thought of fucking killing someone while you're walking out doing something and he upsets you, it's not a problem. You know, you shouldn't be thinking about hurting someone, you know, like that, or, you know, doing something really bad to this person in an instant when he does something to you. But that's just, you know, for me, that was just the survivor's mentality. And growing up where I was, and that's just the way I dealt with things. A lot of the kids around our way dealt with things that way. But, you know, remember, you know, all the kids are in trouble. There's always someone worse. And you can always, there's never, you know, you don't have to go kill yourself like my brother, or, you know, it wasn't my oldest brother's option to go schizophrenic 35 years ago, but that's the way they dealt with it. You know, like I said, I've got issues now that I'm dealing with at the moment at 46 years of age, which is crazy. But yet I'm still fighting. I'm still dealing with them, you know, trying to be a normal person, a better person. And all those facing this sort of stuff can do the same thing.
No, yeah, it's beautiful. And also I think, you know, to even if at 46 you're still improving, I think, as we all are. I'm more curious, also, as a kid, you know, before you got into fighting, did you have any smaller outlets when people would pick on you, or you would face certain abuses from your dad, or life at home was hard? Like, was there things before you got really into fighting that you would do to just kind of take your mind off, or you know, because there's a lot of kids today that don't have the outlet of martial arts, and maybe they should, and they just don't really know what to do, and that anger is, you know, manifested in bad ways, or they get involved in gang life. What was that like for you growing up?
I sort of used my mind to I escaped inside myself. You know, I just went inside myself and just thought positive things and did things. You know, like I used to run along the school, along the field, and try and race cars. And as I was a young kid at night time, you know, I said, you know, we weren't allowed out at all. But when I started getting out there onto the streets, I started racing cars down, you know, things like 400 meters or something, just trying to race them and beat them. That was one outlet for me. So, and I didn't realize that was sport. That was sport, to get out there, like playing footy and things like this. So, you know, good outlet is sport and martial arts. You know, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Talking to others about it, there's a thing you can do about it, which is extremely good. It's helped me a lot with my issues. And like I said, even now at 46, still dealing with them.
Were you good at talking about these, you know, things that were going on in your life when you were younger, or is that something you've kind of learned better as you've gotten older?
Something I learned that as I got older, I never spoke a word about my situation as a child. I just, I mean, a few people knew, my teacher knew different things, but I never spoke about it at all. I just grew some big chips on my shoulders and just, you know, went around being an angry person, trying to fuck everything up. That's just what happened. And like I said, ended up in jail, met the wrong people, and ended up doing wrong things with them. So, you know, that's just what happened with it. I'm actually, you know, lucky to be even around these days and not doing a long jail sentence, to be honest.
Will you talk about then how you kind of got lured into, you know, the wrong people, and then ultimately, you know, how, for people that aren't familiar with the situation, how you ended up in jail?
Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't lured. I just was hanging out with the wrong people. You know, the first time I got to do, well, not the first time, the time I got caught was was assaulting some guys for their shoes. And the funny thing is, they knew who we were. You know, it was the most stupidest thing. And it was during the day. I didn't understand what's wrong with them. I mean, people thought, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? These guys beat someone up for his shoes. It's like during the day too. They didn't give a fuck. You know, that's just, at that time, it was just, I don't know what the fuck was going through our brains. It was just dumb. I mean, nothing really mattered because we were getting fucking screwed over at home anyway. So it was like, who gives a fuck? Is there another level to this?
Right. And then how long did you spend the first time in jail?
I got 9.5 months. It was under a year, so you only do like 5.5 if you're a good person. So, yeah. I think I
And
was
then
16 or 18. Yeah, one of the two.
so
I think
so
16 I was.
so the first time you went, you were 16.
I think it was, yeah.
And
I
then
can't really.
what was your mentality when you got in jail? I mean, what was going on in your head when you first walked in? And
Well, to be honest, I didn't know what was happening. I thought I'd be released, in an hour or something, but I didn't realize this was custody. The first 3 weeks they put you in classification and with all sorts of people. But and you realize like, whoa, this is the good thing about jail was they give you 3 square meals a day, which was good. It's better than what I got at home. So I actually pretty much enjoyed jail and met a lot of good people. I know when I didn't join when I got classification because I was a good kid, I went to minimum security and worked at an actual dairy farm, to be honest, which was quite good. So at least I didn't end up going to medium security jail, and yeah, so it was good. I had actually enjoyed jail. 3 square meals a day. Routine. I got into routine. This is what gave me routine.
what was, if you had like one big takeaway from your first time in jail, what was it, you think?
It's a waste of time.
Okay.
I like jail, but it was just a waste of time. There's other things you could have been doing. Where I was, you could have got stabbed or killed or whatever, but it's just, it just didn't happen. I didn't. Yeah, so I didn't feel scared at all. I was pretty much alone at home anyway. So yeah, but yeah, I just knew it was wrong to be there.
And were you close with your siblings when you were younger? Like, did they come visit, or what was your relationship like then?
No, I didn't have any good relationship with my siblings. We were just surviving all us in our own separate ways, in our own different worlds. We just survived this shitty house. That's basically what it was.
And so then you get out and you're what, around 17, I guess, or something in that ballpark. And then
17. Yep.
And then the second time you went to jail was when?
It was 20 years old. I think I got 3.5 months or something. I went to Mount Eden jail, which is like the Rocker, they call it in Auckland City. So I only spent a little bit of time there for assault. Yeah.
And what was that for?
Assault.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, was there ever a turning point, after maybe the second time you were there, that you were like, I never want to be back here again?
Well, I said that the first time I went in. When I first time went in, I came out, I was like, wow. The second time was just, I knew I was just starting a cycle of just jail and trouble. And I was glad I actually moved to a different country. Never been on a plane before. I was glad I actually moved to Australia to help my life, because I knew, and the opportunity came up with Dave's brother and stuff. So I was lucky. Things, I think God just put the right things in place. I was lucky to make the right decision at the right time, because my decisions got me in the jail in the first time, and I was actually 18 or something, or 17 or 18, and that's where I started that cycle where you just keep going back around. You do another crime, get back in. So I was basically just starting a life of crime, a petty crime. I started then, and then, so yeah.
And do you think that
yeah.
Do you think that if you didn't have martial arts, or even if you hadn't if you didn't leave the country, do you think that you would have then ended up again? Like, was there any kind of discipline on your end?
Of course, I would have been back in jail, for another assault or some robbery or something stupid like that. I started meeting some good people, if you would say, because you meet the best people in jail, of course, and you just, you become friends, and then you start doing other stuff, and that's what happens. You become into a cycle, and you start doing other stuff, and then, next thing you know, you're looking at 20 years, 30 years, and that's pretty much your life done in one crime. So,
Was there any particular memorable person that stood out, that became maybe a best friend, or a particular, maybe even a story that stood out from your time in jail?
Yeah, the first time I went, I met a guy named, I respected him a lot, especially Josh and Nick Hensel. It was a minimum security. So Josh Natalfadi was a mobster. and he wanted me to norm up with him to patch up with the mob. And I was like, "Arr." There was a few guys that are memorable to me. And I did weights with Josh. I hold the bag from one of his kickboxing. It was some good memories. With Nick Enso, I respected him because he was, he's a well-built, muscular guy. He got 5 years for stabbing someone. But he was good. He worked hard. Because when you're a farmer, you work really, really hard. And I didn't realize that until I started working in the farms and milking cows twice a day and getting up at 3 and going to bed about 6. So I think it's a hard days. Being a farmer is hard. I started doing weights when I was with Josh and watching him do the kickboxing and all this jazz. So, I didn't norm up with him. I just wasn't me. The gang life wasn't for me. I mean, I know a lot of gangsters and stuff, but I just didn't feel like it was the right way to go. I'd rather stand on my own 2 feet and do it that way. I'm not into that. That just wasn't for me. I just didn't think it was right, to be part of gangs. I mean, I'm already part of a gang anyway. I've got my kids and my family here. That's my gang. That's it. That's all I need.
Were you training in jail? I mean, when you got out, how
I started. I was chubby when I went in. I came out. I was like 95 kilograms and all muscle. So,
wow.
I mean, the scale did say I was fucking obese, but I was like, I got an 8-pack. What are you talking about? I was young. At that age, I could do some, pretty good things, and I could run an indoor track in 11.3, and that was a circular track. So, being young and starting training in jail really helped me along, especially with muscle-wise. Even though I'm fat now, but that's because I love eating. So, and that's another issue I have, especially in my childhood, is food. So, that's always been an issue, a childhood issue. So,
how so?
Well, think about it. When you don't have no food as a kid, when you get money or something to feed yourself, you're gonna eat and overeat.
Interesting.
And it becomes an issue. So it's always been one of my issues with food. And I don't have to. Friends of mine, someone I know always said, you don't have to gorge. You're always gonna eat it again. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Interesting.
So I'm not gonna lie, you eat fucking shitloads of food and you sit there like, you don't know when your next meal's coming. I think there's a switch in there I've got to flick and say, you're going to eat again, relax. And I don't fucking eat the whole world and then wait for it. Yeah.
And so did you know, how early in your kind of martial arts life did you know that you had particularly good hands, that you were kind of built for this?
Well, I mean, I was good at, I got beaten up all through my childhood from my dad. So, I mean, fighting's affliction. I'm good at taking affliction, and that's basically what fighting's all about. You just got to go into the gym and train yourself not to get the pain, and not to get the affliction, because fighting's not about getting hit and hurt. It's about putting hurt on someone else. So I grew up getting hurt from my parents and my dad, and so it wasn't that hard decision to make in the end. When you think about it.
Did they have any particular opinions on when you started fighting? Did you lose contact with them? What was that like?
My parents were still alive when I was still fighting. When I just started, though, I bought them a house when I'd won the world title in 2001. But that, I was happy I did. It was something I thought I'd do. I didn't hate my parents. It's just, because it's just one of those things. They're your parents. You're like a dog. You're never, it's hard to explain. It's like a dog. When you beat the dog will still love you. But because they're my parents, I'll always feel the same way. But there's not that connection and closeness with the parents, especially my dad. I mean, he died with bowel cancer and he was rotting in the house. I just went and picked him up and went and pushed him in the fucking hospital. Yeah, man, if I didn't, we shouldn't have had a funeral for him. You should have just let him fucking die. It's just zero feelings for it. I mean, buying the house is, something else. I don't know what it is. I just felt it was my obligation.
And I'm also curious because, now being a father, how has, your childhood affected the way that you father your own kids?
Man, I'm a really shit dad. I tried my best. I've been away a long time traveling. I I mean, I give my kids whatever they want. I get angry at yell. I don't never touch my kids. I mean, basically, I like them to be outspoken and do what they want. I want them to be in front of the class, you know, not like me at the back of the class. Look, you got the dishes here, you got freaking everything here, and they just in there gaming. So that's you know, and now it's even worse because I'm single. Look, I just don't want my kids to be having adult issues while kids, you know. Let the adults deal with the adult shit. Well, my job is to provide for them. I know I need to educate them a lot more on how things work to look after themselves, because no one educated me about looking after myself. But that's the one thing I'm lacking. I need to teach in that sense. And that's what I'm doing now. Is trying to spend more time with them. And yeah.
And how did you, you know, especially during your, when you were even more active fighting all over the world, really, you know, how do you manage, you know, family life and fighting and doing camps here and there? And, you know, I mean, what's
It
that
was
like?
hard, like I said. It's like I said, I spent a lot of time away. You know, it's a hard life to try and live as a fighter's life, and you know, and especially with all the shit that the UFC and all these scumbag companies do, you think, what's the point? I mean, it's not like you're going to get for those guys. It's not like they're going to, you know, make decent. They make decent coin, but not what they should be making, is what I should say. And not what a top fighter, prize fighter should be making.
Right. And I know that you're big involved in the antitrust and all that. And, you know, you've talked a lot about that as well. For just, you know, I mean, I don't want to bore you with it because you've probably talked about it so much, but for listeners that aren't really familiar with it, will you go over, you know, what you're doing? And because you're a big advocate and, you know, voice right now on this subject. And, you know, there's going back and forth with people at the UFC and whatnot. Will you just let people know what it is you're doing, and, you know, for people that are interested in supporting that cause, they can know about it?
Yeah, well, one of the lawsuits I joined the antitrust lawsuit guys, and it's a class action. We're trying to bring in the Ali Act, and you know, because the UFC fighters are not employed. Well, you know, I used to work with UFC for a long time. You know, they're not employees. They don't get the benefits. They're only sharing a revenue of probably, I thought it was like 4%, but I think they said it was like 12% or something now. But even though if 12% is still small for what it is, for the amount of money that their company makes. And the only reason that company makes that kind of money is because of the fighters, not because of Dana, not because of any one of those guys. It's because of those fighters, and it's because of those fans that support the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the UFC fans, the fans think they're supporting these fighters. They're not. They're paying, you know, the top end fighters. The only people that get money for pay-per-views is the champions, and it depends on what deal they cut with the company. So all that money that those fans, those people are supporting UFC, all they're doing is giving the royal family of Dubai, giving them more money. They're giving these actors, well, the owners of the UFC now are the actors, you know, Venus, Serena Williams, Mark Wahlberg, Tony Robbins, all these fuckwits that have plenty of money. And it's because you guys there are there. Remember that. It's because of all the people that are there. They're there. So they're owning this company, whether they know or not, that they're paying pittance to these fighters. They should understand that they're making money off these guys. So what we're trying to do is change the revenue from 12% to 40% is what I think the basketball teams get, and what the other, you know, proper sports leagues get. UFC want to be classed as one of the top sports leagues, but yet they're just crooks. They pay minimum below wage. They don't even have. It just annoys me what a lot of things are doing. You know, the other lawsuit is about steroids and everything. And you know, the funny thing is, they say they got the best testing policies in the world for fighting, for UFC, for drugs, but yet they're not enforced it one time. They only enforce it when they want to enforce it. So this is the other lawsuit I'm in, and that's you know, I'm passionate about both. What's really annoying me is because, you know, I've had you know, I've had so many issues with fighting guys that are cheating. I broke my hand 16 times. Fought 3 or 4 guys in a row. They've never been punished. I think the last time that I fought was the guy that I really pissed me off was a guy named, I fought Brock Lesnar. I mean, the guy, you know, people said to me, like, you knew he was cheating? Look at him. And I'm looking, dude, unless you're a magician and took blood from that guy, then all you need to do is look at him and say, yeah, I can see that he's on something, but whether you knew or not, like in your heart, no, you can't go anywhere and say, well, look at him, he's on steroids. How do you fucking know?
Yeah.
Just by looking at him. What are you, a fucking fortune teller? You can't say shit that you know. You can't take that anyway. You can't take that to a court of law and say, okay, where's your evidence? Oh, okay, so I knew he was. They'll say, you knew he was? Okay. How did you know? Look at him. They'll just laugh at you. You know, they'll fucking laugh at you and say, get the fuck out of here, you dumb cunt. So, and then the other, you know, the instance that they gave him a 4-month ban, waiver, and I'm thinking, why would you do that? So, and then after that, they tried to, you know, they didn't say that, they forced me to fight, otherwise they'll fire me. So I had to fight under the duress of losing my job. So they said, fight a guy named Josh Barnett, who's a fucking cheater. And I said, no, I said I'd fight him, but put a clause in the contract that states that they'll take all his money off him if he gets caught. You know, I don't need to just take it off him. I don't want him to earn a cent because he's a fucking cheater. And they said no. And then 2 days later, the guy pops, and I started laughing and goes, nah, fuck you, you're scumbags trying to. And then they did it again to me. They came and said, we want you to fight another guy named, and his name's Alistair Overeem. I said, fuck, I was in there going, oh my gosh, he's the fucking worst cheater. What the fuck's going on? I said, look, I'm not going to fight these cheaters if I know they're cheating. Because I just fought that biggest cheater, and you guys gave that cheater a pass. And then we went back and forth for a while. Then they said, we're not going to put the clause in. This is the letter saying, if you don't fucking fight, we're going to fire you, black ass. And then I was like, you motherfuckers. So, yeah, so I says, you know, okay, I took the fight, then I dropped the lawsuit on him. I mean, what else can I do? Keep saying to them, I said to them 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. I kept saying to them, are you doing anything about it? Can you do something about it? And all they say to me is, we've got to put him through the process. The fucking process is rigged by you guys. Jeff Davinsky is a fucking rat, just like you guys, and he's going to fucking turn on your side now. You know, I mean, despite catching Lance Armstrong, that rat fuck is fucking letting people go. I mean, how does that guy get off by saying, that incident with the fight in Vegas being moved to California? I mean, shit. How did he get away with that? Oh, we caught him with a picogram in his system. Who gives a fuck? Picogram, fucking dog shitogram, it doesn't matter. He's got something in his system. Why are you letting him fight? You know, why does all the fighters have to take a pay cut because this fucking rodent can't do it properly like everyone else? What does a shortcut take to get to do it in a different state and all the fans lose out? That's what makes me laugh about this guy. That's why I speak up about it, especially with this and joining the antitrust guys, especially what they're trying to bring in to get a fair pay packet of what they're actually making. So, you know, that's how I feel on all that, all these lawsuits about what's going on. And people will say, you're just the whinger. They say, man, fuck you. You weren't in it before and you aren't even in it now. You know, shut the fuck up.
And do they like pay you, you know, especially after because the one that I remember so vividly was the Brock Lesnar fight. And you know, when he popped afterwards, do they compensate you after that? Like, how's that? Do you get anything from
No.
that?
So I lose out. I don't even move forward. I don't get a win on my record. It becomes a no contest. I don't get no money. I mean, I get my contract money, but that's it. It just becomes a no contest. So I lose. I mean, I get the money that I was fighting for, yes, but I don't get the fair fight in the octagon. The fair fight was taken away because they let that guy go and fight, and they probably knew he was cheating. Like Dana said, they made a deal, him and Vince McMahon. How the fuck is your president going to let those fuckwits start your economy again when they're fucking crooks? I mean, I don't get it. How does Donald Trump say, we're going to let Dana White, this fuckwit, and this other dickhead, Vince McMahon, help our restart our economy? Fucking joke. Just fucking thieves, mate. That's all it is.
And in terms of like, you know, I think you've also been, if I well remember, an advocate also on talking about like the injuries that fighters are going through, you know, CTE, brain damage, stuff like that. You know, for you, now that you're 46 and, you know, do you feel those things on a daily basis? I mean, what's, you know, health wise, you know, because MMA and the UFC and stuff like that are so young still in terms of the, you know, compared to other sports, we don't really see all those long-term effects like we do in like an American football, for example. But, you know, as a, you know, almost an OG of the sport at this point, do you feel those? I mean, what's that like for you?
So to be honest, 20 years is a long time. UFC is young compared to the other sports. It's not
Right.
young as in like young. It's
Right.
20 years old. So, 20 years old is a long time. It's only young compared to the other sports. Those other sports are over 100, whatever years old.
Right.
So don't use that excuse as that it's a young sport. You're still making the revenue. You're still making all that shit. Don't give me that bullshit that, it's a young sport, we shouldn't be having to pay this. That's a load of horse shit.
No, right.
It's
But
young compared
as in
compared to the other sports.
right, exactly. But I mean, as in, there's no, there's not that many fighters that have talked out about the brain damage that they feel because of the fact that it's young compared to the other sports, right? Like in American football, for example, there's a lot of people, 30, 40 years ago that started talking about these things because they felt it. And I think now we're going to start seeing people in the UFC talk, retired fighters talk about that brain damage, the CTE.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I have, the UFC try to say that to me. They said, I've got brain damage, I've got CT, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I did an interview and they pulled me off a fight card.
Really?
I mean, I went and I had to go to Las Vegas to do these tests. I mean, I've heard some people speak. They can't even string a sentence together at all. If my situation was like that and UFC actually cared, then why would they force you to fight or do different things like this? Why would they allow these steroid guys to get away with shit?
Mm.
If they actually cared about the fighters. They don't care. If they cared about it, they'll bring in the Ali Act and change things. But they don't care. They don't care. They will still give them the fucking 12%, whatever it is. If they actually cared about their fighters, they'll make it 40%. They'll give them they'll actually be employees. There's a lot of things they'll change, but they don't care. All they care about is what?
Yeah, it's the money.
Yeah, we all that's what company does, right? So as a former subcontractor of the company, we got to look out for ourselves. And that's why, I mean, to be honest, what really upset me one time is a person said that fighters only make 10% up of the UFC, and I was like, yeah, fighters make 10% up, but they're the most important. Okay? And you're not looking after them. I mean, without the fighters, you've got nothing. This guy was such an idiot. Pissed me off. He's like, the fighters make up only 10%. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, they do make up only 10%, but that's the show. And you're still not looking after them. You know what I mean? They're still not getting looked after. That's what's so annoying. So as a guy that's come out of that company, knowing all these things, and now it's, losing the guys that are cheating, all these things, there's a lot of things that need to be changed. You can start with the Ali Act. That's an equalizer to fix everything up. People talk about unions being bad. It's bad if the people on the union board are bad. A union can turn really bad, especially for these companies. But if they put the right people on the board, to be fair. Not like right now. It's not fair at the moment at all for these guys. People say you're not even part of the UFC. Yeah, of course. But someone that's come out of there and into two active lawsuits, of course I'm trying. I've said something many times, and these guys wouldn't do anything about it. So you know what? Fuck it, I'll do something about it.
And how far along are you in those lawsuits? I mean, what's next for those?
Well, hey, Dana White and the boys got to answer next week with my personal lawsuit. Hello. I think we're going to go to with this trial, it's been going on a little while. I'd like to see it go to trial. I'd like to see what else they're hiding in their cupboards. These guys, the former owners. I'm surprised they haven't killed me yet, to be honest. But yeah, that's it's in the 9th district at the moment. It's in the High Court, and we're gonna see what they say next week. I hope this goes to trial so the whole world can see what kind of fucking scumbag these guys are. These guys that used to own the company, and how they made their billions of dollars, and how they sold their company, fucking using everyone else to fucking fry everyone else and use everyone else. I'm just different because I don't like to be. You can't shackle someone like me. You can't do that to me. I won't accept it. I ain't gonna fuck if you try and kill me or kill me. I don't give a fuck. At least I'll die trying.
And for you, what's life like now? I mean, 46. I mean, what's on the cards? What are you doing? What's a daily schedule look like in the life of Mark Hunt these days?
Well, these days, I've just accepted another fight, and I want to finish my career with 6 more fights. I'm 46. I was really unhappy with working in the UFC for like 3 years before I finished. You can tell that by my fights. I was really unhappy. I was arguing all the time with him. fuck, I hate those. I hate this form. I mean, I hated how they treated the fighters. And I just wouldn't accept it. So, you know, I mean, life nowadays is, for me, is I'm away from home. I'm going through divorce. I'm getting ready for another fight. I have the kids on the weekends, which is really good. But that's just me, though. That's my life at the moment. I want to finish my career with 6 more fights and move on.
And what
Probably,
do you? Sorry, what do you see? You know, as life after those 6 fights. What do you hope to do with life after fighting? Have you thought about that?
when I probably hang up the gloves, I will never come back. Like I said, I didn't want to be a fighter in the start, but I want to. I've got a lot of businesses in place at the moment. I'm going to be opening before the virus. I want to do a lot of things. There's a lot of things on my mind. I want to help a lot of people with management. You know, because I have a great business mind, especially when it comes to fighting for management. I know what's happening with these, how things work, with contracts. Yeah, so a lot of business stuff, a lot of time with my children, and pretty much hopefully just enjoying the rest of my life after fighting. I mean, it's a year and a half away, I'd say, but I can see the end. I can see the end of me, which is fucking good for me. I hate training.
What's training like now compared to maybe, you know, 10 or 15 years ago?
I gotta say, it's a lot harder. You know, I mean, Ty's up here at the moment. I mean, he's still with the UFC. I mean, we hardly ever talk about it because he's still. I mean, he knows how I feel about my views, but you know, he's still working in this and stuff. And hopefully, we can make things better for these younger guys coming through, the boys and the girls, with the Ali Act, the antitrust law, and different things. But training's a lot harder than it was, you know, like now. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, I was running that day. We were running in the mornings. Every morning was tired. It's like, he's 27. I mean, he's been with me like 5 years or 6 years. And man, these guys just, it's so weird because he's a lot bigger than I am, and he's running faster and everything. I was like, man, but you know, I look at it, my body's been through, I've got the mileage on my body, you know, I've got like an old car. It's been fucking, you know, it hasn't been supercharged. Like, the car's it's been running for a long, long time, you know, with the mileage of running, with the mileage of, you know, punching the knuckles. It's just, you know, but the fight is still there. I can, you know, the fire is still burning because I want to get that, you know, not only, of course, the money is good, but because that's always been why I fought, because of the money, but just to finish happy, you know, on my terms. And it's like, it's a lot harder than, you're not supposed to be doing this at my age, you know. I still think. I mean, I can still. Even now, I still think I'm the best fighter in the world. I still think I'm better than a lot of these fuckers, you know.
Do you feel like now also, you know, with a family, do you feel like you're fighting for your family as well? I mean, are they an extra source of inspiration, not just financially, but, you know, just from a spiritual or mental perspective as well?
Well, I mean, I don't care. To be honest, this fight that I'm in, it's just in the lawsuits. It's about fucking change. You know, I asked Dana and them, I asked them if they could just change this from the start. No financial incentive, no nothing. These cunts wouldn't have a bar of it. I said, just put that clause in. It just changes. You know, it helps the guys that doesn't cheat. Why couldn't you just put a clause in saying they'll get no money? I mean, you take off 30% if they don't make weight. What the fuck is when he's knowingly cheating to hurt someone? Fuck, why don't you fucking penalize them? They wouldn't have a bar for it. That's why we're here. That's why we're fucking here right now. And you know, despite them having all the advantage, all the power, all these things, you got to remember they got that from all the people. They got their power from all the people. The people have let them get away with this. The fighters have let these people get away with this. You know, and it's the people and the fighters that can change this. At one instance, everyone can just say, you know what, I don't want to support this company. I don't want to fight for this company. Where do you think they'll be? Yeah. Nowhere. I can tell you where they'll be right now, like any other company. Nowhere. The only thing they're holding on to right now is they keep everyone just enough to eat, just enough to pay off the next bills. If everyone said, you know what, fuck you, you're going to change right now, and that's it. It'll happen in hours. It'll happen like that. If these owners, the actual owners of the actual UFC, these celebrities and that knew what was happening, do you think they would want to make a change? Do you think they'll stand up and say, hey, look, man, this isn't right. We're not giving them a proper share? Or do you think they're just interested in making their boats bigger or getting another helicopter or some shit? What do you think they're interested in?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, money and,
I mean, I understand about getting to this business, making a business and doing the right thing, but man, this is the fucking blood game, man. There, people are fucking getting fucked up here, bro. You know, it's fucking, and especially how some of these athletes got to the top. It's from the support and the love of the people.
mm.
Without the people and the love, the support of the people like you and I, there'll be no celebrities. There'll be none of them. I mean, I don't give a fuck about any celebrity. The only one I still think is as great as Mike Tyson, of course, because he's like me for a while. I'm like he's from the streets. So yeah.
And when you look back, on your career, at least so far, is there any one moment that you feel like stands out that you'll cherish, for the rest of your life, that stands out as like your career defining moment or your favorite, fighting moment?
Yeah, when I was in K1, when I won the world K1 title, I knew that I was a full-time. I know I was signed before that, but I knew that I was going to be able to change my life and buy my parents a house. Not even buy my house first. I just buy a house for my parents and just that was a good moment for me to realize that before my ex-girlfriend said her mother thought I wasn't even good enough. I mean, like all these people that thought I wasn't good enough. They look at me and said, this fat guy and worthless, he's fucking worthless. Like all these other fuckers used to say, well, I'm not worthless. I'm not fucking useless. I'm a good person and I do good things. So yeah, that was a good moment for me.
And that's interesting that you just
and
said.
I don't think I've shared that with anyone before.
Wow.
That's the first time I think I've shared it. And their views on my account was a lot different than the views on myself. Despite how they thought about me, despite how these people thought that I was worthless and no good.
And I think what's also interesting is what you just said of, after you won the K1 Grand Prix, that your mind went immediately to, I can buy my parents a house, and even though everything that happened, I mean, I think that also kind of shows the person you are, you care about, no matter what happened with your dad, they're still your parents, right? And you still wanted to make, their lives a little bit better. Is that fair?
Yes, and that's the thing, though, is probably no one taught them, and they probably went through a lot of abuse. It's just, like I said, I'm not going to do that to my kids, and I didn't want to put them through. It was hard, because I had two older kids, which they got put through a lot too, being a person that doesn't know how to be raised by proper parents. So, it's a cycle. So, me trying to fix the cycle on my own part is good. So, despite my kids being, really hammering me all the time, I still think this is the right way for them, They don't need to be living in the back part of the brain, which is the fight or flight. They need to be living in the middle like every normal person. I know that there's food going to be there. Know that they not have to be scared to go home. Know these things that are normal, not living in the back of the brain like I've lived for 46 years.
And how do you help like other parents, that have kids and came from abusive childhoods to, try to not either to refrain from that kind of abuse or to break those bad tendencies? Because I think it's really hard, probably.
I mean, I've seen it a couple of times and I've stepped in, and it's not good. I mean, anyone that's been in that sort of position would do something about it. Just like when I saw this, one time I saw this fuckwit teacher teaching his kid tennis, a young girl, and he went stupid and, threw the tennis racket. And so I ran and picked the tennis and I threw it at him, started chasing him in the fucking tennis court. I said, motherfucker. I've seen it a few times in different things, and I'm thinking, I mean, at least at my age, at that age, I was able to do something about it. Not sit like a kid and be scared and go, I can't do anything about it. Because I was too scared, I think they've got to look at themselves and I think seeing a counselor has really helped me a lot, especially with knowing that there's three brains that you live in. The fight or flight one is at the back. And then that's the one that all these kids live in as babies too, as they grow up. They're growing up, there's more wear in the nappy. There's a lot more things they're scared of because they hear people with loud noises, yelling, arguing. They hear this. Babies hear this as they grow up. And they start living in the back brain, scared of someone's going to do something to them, or they're not safe, like me, like how I grew up. And you get to a point at a certain age where you turn that into anger. You have to always defend yourself on different things, and it's not a good thing living in the back part of the brain in the fight or flight mode. Is not good. Even any normal person doesn't understand because they sit in the middle here and think about things properly. Whereas guys with fight or flight, there's only two modes. When that fight or flight's on, these two are not working, so you don't remember anything. That's how I grew up, not remembering a lot of my childhood because I was always living in the back part of my brain. And that's something I learned from the counselor. That's what a lot of kids need to go and do. A lot of parents that are doing this, they need to go to counseling themselves, educate themselves, you know. And that's the best thing. The best thing I learned from that counselor was, you know, that you don't live. There's three parts of the brain that you live in, and you've been living in the back brain, which is the fight or flight, and it's Mr. Angry's always come out to protect.
Was
you
there?
know, you need to leave Mr. Angry and say, hey man, I got this. I know you're here. You know, you gotta sit with your feelings, like she said. Sit with your feelings and understand them. And your kids got to understand that there's sadness. There's all these feelings that they've got to understand.
Was there a point that you felt like, you know, what prompted you to reach out to a counselor? Because I think that's also a huge part of growing, and you know, even at 46 or 40 or whatever, whenever you did it, you know, and I think a lot of parents who experience some of the same things as you, they don't know when or how. Or was there a moment for you that really prompted you to go to a counselor?
There's a lot of, I mean, people know the feeling of hunger. I do. You know when you're hungry, so what do? You go and feed yourself. There's other feelings that's inside of you that what the body tells you. Because it's a machine that's smart. There are a lot of feelings that, you know, when you're hurting someone, you're doing something to kids, you know you're doing it wrong. You know, your mind, your body tells you. You know, you have to go and speak to someone. Go see a counselor. And they've seen thousands of people like you, like me. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, I realized there's nothing wrong with me. That's just how I grew up. That's just the cards I was dealt with. I never dealt. When I said to the counselor, she asked me, have you ever dealt with your issues? And I said, yeah, I've dealt with my issues. And she said to me, when? And I looked at her and said, I was like, And she goes, when did you deal with your issues, Mark? And I'm like this, never. So she confronted me there and she wasn't fucking around. Bitch would have jump kicked me if I'd fucking said something else, you know? She would have said, fuck. And that's the one thing you have to learn. You have to learn how to sit there and understand and try and open yourself up to this, because there's a process that starts with, you know, there's anger, there's sadness. Then there's healing afterwards. These are the emotions, the process that it works for. You just can't be, you know, I've been angry for 46 fucking years. You know, the counselor said, fuck, angry's fucking must be tired now. Fuck, does he ever get tired? He's always out there looking for a fight, or he's looking to defend someone.
Do you want to not be angry?
There's not, yeah, well, of course, because there's no one, when you relax more, your anxiety comes down. You're not wanting to hurt anyone. You're not trying to, Mr. Angry, there's no need for Mr. Angry to be here. You know, there's time for Mr. Sad to be here so that Mr. Healing can come. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's when you said before about fighting. That's why I was probably that's why I'm probably one of the best fighters in the world. I fought for the longest in the world because of that.
Do you feel like fighting saved your life?
Of course, without a doubt. And like I said, I didn't even want to be a fighter. Fighting saved my life try to be a better person. Even at 46, I'm trying to evolve and help myself so I can better my kids and those around me. Of course, I'm always. If it wasn't for fighting and martial arts, I mean. You know, who knows? And I say this with I'll really let it go. Who knows what I would have done some terrible things, I think. I mean, I've done some things I'm not proud of at all. But I paid for that with my time. And, you know, I just don't want to be making any more mistakes like that. So it's too late to muck around with these things. And I'm 46. I want to enjoy my life now. So I want to be out of that fucking back end and just live in the middle and I just live around where it's just cruisy, where, you know, everything's so chilled. I mean, I want to be normal.
Now I have a very separate question. What is you know, you're known as the king of the walk-off knockout. What's that feeling like when you hit a walk-off knockout? Do you know on the spot that they're out?
Yeah, you can just feel it. You just know, it's like, man. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but you just feel it. You just know. Yeah, I think a lot of fighters would understand that, but I mean, yeah.
Is it ever like, does it scare you to know what you're capable of doing? in a way, you know, because no one can really fuck with you.
Well, no, that's not really true. I mean, humans, we're really weak. We're really piss weak. We think we're tough.
Human wise.
Well, I mean, as a human, I mean, and I know fucking we're weak as fuck. You know, I mean, the only reason why we're the best, we're the alpha in this whole fucking planet is because we can make shit to fuck everything else up. If, you know, if you're bigger than us, we'll make something to fucing kill you. You know, we'll do something. You know, that's how we are number one. As a fighter, I think. I mean, like I said, I like to, you know, spend some time with some of these doctors of this, so, you know, I like to make it an even playing field. Then we'll see what's up, you know, with these guys that are fucking cheating. So, you know, I don't think that is fair. Those guys need to be checked on with everyone out, the whole world needs to see about those guys. You know, those are the guys that are unfair. I mean, it's like when they race here with the V8s and, you know, here comes the fucking Skyline with the turbo in it. Everyone's like, this fuck, he's cheating. What the fuck? It's like putting a normal push bike, and they talk about my bike, and it's got an electric, current running through it, and they goes, that's cheating. I was like, bruh. So it's like a human being, but same thing. When you supercharge that shit, it's fucking next level, cuz. But anyway, yeah.
Now, to wrap things up, do you ever think about your legacy? I mean, how do you hope that people remember Mark Hunt as a fighter, as a father, just as a human being? I mean, what mark do you hope to leave on the world?
Well, like I said, I didn't want to be a fighter at all. All I'm doing right now is just trying to fight the good fight. I'm trying to make things even. You know, I don't really care what people think about me at the end of the day. I want. If it's going to be a fight, I want it to be an even fight. You know, and if they have rules and regulations, then fair enough. You know, otherwise, why not just fucking make it open? Let everyone fucking do shit and don't fucking someone die, you know? I mean, if that's a proper fight, I mean, shucks. I mean, mixed martial arts is the highest you can get. Next thing is fucking weapon fighting. Next thing is shooting. Next thing is fucking full-blown war. So, you know, we've already been to those. There's no good that comes out of that shit. There's good that comes out of sport. We're fighting because it you know, you can make things even that way. But anyway.
And yeah. What about put fighting to the side? What about as a man? Do you ever think about how, you know, you wanna if there's a legacy that people remember as Mark Hunt the person?
Well, like I said, I didn't really ever thought about what people thought about me, because at the end of the day, you know, I mean, people will think what they think about you anyway. So I don't give a fuck. I'm just living my life. I'm trying to live my life accordingly how I think is right and fair. And, you know, I've used the tools and the gifts that's, I'm glad that the gifts I've found that God's given me, and that's basically it. So people are going to think of you what they think of you. And to be honest, I'm not going to lose any sleep thinking about what they think, because I don't care. You know, I still got to go to fucking do my shit anyway. So, I mean, people, you're not going to be friends with everyone in the world, because people are just going to hate you anyway. So, you know, you probably see my Instagram. I don't give a fuck about people that talk shit. Fuck. Talk shit about me, I'll fuck you up. I don't give a shit what people think. Fuck. Speaking of Instagram. The only people that I think about is the people that I care about. Close people to me, in my circle, and the people that I deal with all the time. Other than that, fuck yous.
Speaking of Instagram, you can follow Mark Hunt at Mark Hunt Fighter, on Twitter at Mark Hunt 1974, and they can follow your apparel at Juggernaut Mark Hunt. It's coming when I get some money. It's coming, so you know. But don't follow me if you're going to be a smarter, because I'll fuck you up. And you don't want to while eating chocolate biscuits, motherfucker. No. Mark, it was a pleasure to have you on my show. I really appreciate the time. It, man. And send me the link. I'll share it for you. Yes, I appreciate you. Take care, man. Talk soon. Thanks, bro. See ya. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like this video and hit that subscribe button, and also follow me on Instagram at felix.levine to stay updated on all new content as it comes out.